Okay, let's see. Pressing buttons. There we are. Hello, and welcome to the 52 Miniatures live stream. Today is Sunday, can't remember, and welcome. There's people here already in the chat. Mugus, great to have you, the admin of today. In case the, robots with apparent sexual desires turn up, then Mugus will ban them because we're not having that. And I've got my tea. Hello, Iron Miniatures. Good morning, and welcome. I'm glad you made the first stream, or the first start of a stream. Hopefully, you stay to the end as well. Good morning, Dragonfire from Quebec. Hey means we have a Swede as well, and hello from Finland. Mark from Montana. Good morning. Andreas from Cyprus. Nice. I'd probably like to be in Cyprus right now. Well, not really. It's actually it's depressingly nice outside. I was just out. I'm still kind of blinded. There is apparently a sun outside. I don't see it very often down here in the bunker. But yeah, it's very nice apparently outside today. I haven't. Yeah. Okay. Good morning from Calgary in Canada. Yeah, that's right. Everyone's saying good morning. Not everyone, but people are. And I'm like, good morning. It's not. But there's the time thing that I can just never really get the grip of. But good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon from London as well. Tampa, Florida. NC. North Carolina, I would guess. Charles, you're still in North Carolina, I think. I believe I figure that out every other week on Sundays that you're from North Carolina. Paul says, glad to catch the stream from start. Hope to do a bit of painting while following. Well, it's an excellent idea, Paul. It's usually what I do during live streams. Unfortunately, not my own, because trying to paint and read the chat is very tricky. I'm not good at doing more than one thing at the same time. But when listening to other people's or watching other people's streams, I usually try and get some hobbying done as well. It's a nice, feels like company kind of a thing. Hello, Patricia from London. Magpie, good afternoon. And Dr. Nolly from Berlin. We've got Mira from Malaysia. Welcome. How I always ask this. It's a little theme of mine when people that join the live stream that are from less hobby centric places. There's a big hobby following in Europe and the United States. But I'm always interested to hear what it's like in other parts, like Malaysia, for example. How's the hobby thriving in Malaysia? Please let me know if you can. Hello, Clyde from Tennessee. Mark from Montana is looking at 36 degrees this afternoon. I'm the kind of person who kind of likes that, honestly. But yeah, don't ask me why I live in the country I live in. Plastic Panzer Factory says, it was great chatting on Friday's Discord hangout. That is something that we do. I have patrons, which is one of the best things around when doing this, because my patrons make sure I can actually spend more time doing videos and less time working with other things. and at least every other week we have a sort of a chat like this, but it's more about a hangout. After work, usually Fridays. For me here in Sweden, after work, we chat and say hi. A bit less informal than this, which is very pleasant. It's nice to get to know, get new friends, but also just have someone to hang out with hobbying. Sometimes it's like a double-edged sword. Sometimes I can feel that one of the big reasons I enjoy this hobby is because it's like getting some alone time. It's just me and a brush and an angry little miniature. But sometimes it's also a bit like it's nice to have company while painting. And so the hobby hangout we have on the Discord for patrons is great for me, at least, just to get a feeling that it's not just me in the entire world that's doing this hobby. And hello from Ireland as well. Hello. Clyde says, now let us bash resin pouring and all its evils. Yes, I put up a short yesterday. I've been working. Here it is. I was working on a diorama. It was turning out really nice, and then I poured resin on it, and the resin behaved badly, and so I redid the diorama, which is not really according to plan. So hopefully there will be a video on Thursday, but it might be delayed because the entire production got, I'm boiling resin all over it. Oh, yes. Mugus, today's administrator, is moving to Vietnam in a couple of months. I remember you saying that previously. That's going to be very interesting to hear. I've been to Vietnam ages ago. I believe I was 19, so that must be, last century. But I don't remember stumbling into any hobby stores, really. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to hear. Damsky says, love the Stormtrooper Marine posted the other day. Thank you. I had a lot of fun with that. Not only sort of camouflaging a pretty simple way to get some nice white armor on something like a Space Marine or a Stormtrooper or something similar, in a little story of mixing up Imperiums. If you haven't checked out the video, please do. Yeah, I had fun with that. There's another one coming Thursday, hopefully. Josh is assembling some Middle-earth minis today. I've never really gotten into the Middle-earth thing. I don't know what it is. It's a very strange. It's a great thing that there's so many different games, and there's so much to pick and choose from. But I have this little quirk, and it's that whenever there is miniatures in a game that sort of resemble a film, I guess, not really. It's kind of, but like an act. They resemble an actor. I mean, it doesn't totally go for Lord of the Rings, but it's still like kind of very much the style as the films, And same goes for what's its face, Star Wars Legion, where you're like, I'm painting, Mark Hamill right now. Feels strange. If Luke would look totally different, then I would probably be fine with it. So I think I'd totally go for like a Lord of the Rings game if it was without sort of hero characters, if it was just sort of warfare. And same with Star Wars Legion, if it was just the troops. But as soon as there's like, oh look, there's Darth Vader, and everyone knows Darth Vader's, sorry, spoiler alert, gonna die. But yeah, it's just a quirk of mine. Outback Minis and Terrain says, good day. Love the heat also. I'm judging by the name Outback and the greeting phrase good day that you are in fact in Australia, which is, it's a good thing that you love the heat, because that's not. I lived in Adelaide for about 4 years, and everyone said good day, and it was hot. Iron Miniatures says, I've made some progress since the last live stream. I painted my first miniature, an ultramarine. Now I'm working on a Stormcast Eternals Vindicator. Which one's the is that the regular sort of, the new sort of regular troops? All the Stormcast, they're like, I just mix up all the names because they all of them end with like or prosecutor, vindictor, protector, annihilator, and this confuses me. But I'm glad to hear that you've been painting. This is one of the great things in life is painting miniatures, after all. Mark from Montana asks Mogus a very good question. Where in Vietnam? Because I'd like to know that as well. It's good to know where I can come and visit. Hello, Isak Almqvist as well. Welcome. Nate says, 2 things I've learned never to go to plan in this hobby is resin and varnishing. Varnishing, I've honestly never really had any major issues with, at least not since getting an airbrush. And I've been using varnish more and more as intermediate steps, mainly because I've sort of gotten into using oil paints a lot. Varnishing I've not had so many issues with. Please share yours. It'd be interesting. And resin, as you said, this is my first large resin pour, which isn't really all that large. Before this, I've only pretty much used UV resin, and so I guess there's a learning curve, right? But that's the thing with the hobby. It's strange because I make videos for YouTube, in case you've noticed, and there's quite a lot of us that do videos for YouTube about painting miniatures, and almost all of them are sort of somehow trying to convey some kind of little technical trick, or like, this is how to paint something, even if it's sort of camouflaged into a story or whatever people do. Apart from that funny long-haired fellow just mixing all his sprue in a lifetime supply of sprue. I'm just kidding. I love Goober Town. But yeah, anyway, I don't really like to watch YouTube videos to learn stuff. I kind of like my own journey of making mistakes and learning by my own mistakes, because it's just the way I am. So instead of like typing, so how to paint a great white armor, I spend a year trying to paint a bit of white armor every now and again until I sort of reach a satisfactory result, and then maybe I make a video on it. But it's kind of funny, really. So I don't really watch. I do watch YouTube videos, of course, but it's mainly just, I think, more for the company and the entertainment, and not so much. I kind of, as soon as someone starts giving a tip, I'm kind of like doing that. Let's see. Of age, non-related carp asks, where did you get your eye for design and cinematography from? Did you study some kind of art degree? No. And my design, I hate design. It's yeah, but I'm a photographer, and both still and video, and so that's where the cinematography bit comes from. I've never studied anything. I've just worked. I'm one of the people that consider sort of photography and stuff like that to be more of a craft than, and of course it's an art form, but it's also a craft. And like with many crafts like carpentry and stuff like that, you can just at least you could start working sort of as an assistant for someone or an apprentice, and that's how I learned stuff. And then that was ages ago, and then I've been working with it for like 15, 20 years. And then came a pandemic and just shot a hole in that balloon. But here we are. Hello, Seb. I'm glad you could catch another stream as well. Mr. Non-age related carp also asks what happens when 52 miniatures hits 52k subs. I don't know. Someone that would be relatively soon, right? I forgot about that. Someone said that when I was like, whoa, I reached 50,000 subscribers, and a lot of people were like, yeah, sure, but what are you going to do when it's 52,000? I guess that would entitle me to a bottle of fizzy adult beverage, probably. Honestly, I haven't got any major plans. Should I? Maybe I should. Made me a bit nervous now. Hello, Mr. Lord Biscuit of the Tossable. Says, can't stay for long, just wishing you all the merry time. I've always got Dungeons and Dragons around that time. Yeah, I remember you've always got your Dungeons and Dragons on Sundays, right? But I'm glad you stopped in to say hi. Adrian says, Space Marine, Stormtrooper, what's the difference? Exactly. But I think if they would actually meet up, there would be like, you'd need 100 or so Stormtroopers for the one Space Marine for an even fight, I think. It's actually kind of interesting perception of things. I'm very not into all that much of the future Warhammer world, 40k or 30k. I just know very little about it. I've never played any games, and so to try and slowly remedy that, just because of curiosity, I started reading the Eisenhorn books. And it's really fun because, like in the first book, I think it features one Space Marine, and everyone is like, "Oh, there's a Space Marine. We're leaving. We're just gonna die." And it's people just tremble of fear, and it's like it's almost like a Balrog in the Lord of the Rings. This one Space Marine. And then that kind of passes with time. But I like that image because, to me, who knows nothing of it, for me 40k is like Space Marines. You put 50 Space Marines over there and 50 over there, and then they fight. For me, I know there's more, but just because visually Games Workshop pushes, well, not only visually but also the amount of miniatures pushes Space Marines so much. So there's always just tons of Space Marines everywhere, and I just like the image that, in fact, it's like this extreme superhuman war machine. It's like a tank, and that would just be cool if that was more. I don't know. I enjoyed the look of that table more when there's like 60 or 70 like regular humans, and then in the middle there's just the one Space Marine. And yeah. Anyway, I just enjoyed that image. Michael Cool says, "Hey, currently painting my first model in about 15 years. It's not entirely going well. I don't blame you after taking a 15-year break, but welcome back into the hobby. I hope you stay. It's just keep painting, really, and don't maybe judge yourself too harshly. Just paint a mini and then paint another one, and then keep on going. And all of a sudden, you'll be sitting in a basement talking to a camera. That's what I did." Okay. Gary from Portugal as well. Hello, Jamie, who says Darth Vader dies. Yeah, I'm sorry. I really spoiled that one, didn't you? I just spoiled like three films for you. But it's fine because Yoda dies. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Stongton is also from Down Under. Hello, good day. One Point in Crafting says, "Got my 52 minis mug and sweatshirt this week. They're both fantastic. I'm glad to hear it." I get ideas for like I should do some more fun merch, and then I'm like making a video or editing a video or painting a mini or buying minis. I'm not really finding the time to do all this sort of content creator stuff. But I'm very glad that you've got your hands on a mug and a sweatshirt. It's a I very much appreciate all the support, especially now, as we all know. It's like prices are going up, and my airbrush compressor is diesel powered, so that's expensive. But yeah, and it goes both ways, because I've noticed quite a few people are I'm not going to say dropping off Patron, but people are tight for money. So there's less patrons now than there used to be. So any support is great, because my costs are going up as well. Also, you've got a nice mug and a sweatshirt, so it's like win-win, right? Nate says, "I feel the same about almost most of the Warhammer games. Official characters don't really interest me. Customization and playing your own unique little band is where it's at." Yeah. I mean, there's I think I feel a lot as well for I haven't played and won't probably in a while, but just sort of more historical style games where it's you're moving a lot of just troops around, and I kind of appreciate that more than like you put some god on the table and it's already some character with this big story. Which is fun for some, but I don't really need that, I think. But what I was talking about before is more like I like it to be a bit more distant and a bit more about my imagination, I think. And so when I'm painting a miniature that actually looks like an actor from a movie, then that flips my imagination, and I'm like, you know, it just doesn't work. Mugu says, my brother lives in Adelaide right now. He says it's a city for older folk. Not much nightlife, according to him. I guess that depends on how posh a nightlife you need. I used to be a bartender, so I've seen my fair share of nightlife in Adelaide, and it was wet. But yeah, but it's like a small town. Only, you know, uh, it's like you take a city and you step on it, and it just squishes out into a very big, flat, small town. And then you grill it on the barbecue. I loved it though. Clyde says lots of doors in the Stormcast. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Anders Johansson says, I'm working on my German force for bolt action, but how do I explain to friends and family who don't know what wargames are, why I have tiny Nazis sitting on my shelf? Yeah, that's a bit of a tricky thing. I think it's actually it's kind of one of the reasons why I haven't really gotten into, I guess you could call it, modern warfare gaming. I mean, there's something to be said about just historicals and not and the fact that it's a game, and the fact that you can appreciate just history and reenactment, things like that. But depending on how into a game you get, you can end up fielding a specific, I'm going to say legion, which it isn't. It's division of an army that maybe was known for atrocities, and you're playing the same folks on the table, which is, I don't know. I can see why you ponder these things. I would cite historical interest. Playing Romans. Romans weren't nice. But no one would be like, why are you like, why are you playing Romans? That's just nasty. But yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. Oh, I've got the money thing going. Thank you. Someone gave me money. I forgot about that. There's this thing where you can press a button, and it gives me money. And I've never. I sort of kind of accidentally activated that recently, and so yeah. Once I get there in the chat, I can probably see who it was. But that's cool. Someone just bought me like a very nice, well, couple of cups of coffee. I appreciate it. Thank you. It was Iron Miniatures. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Let's see. I'm trying to find my way through the chat here, because it sort of has a tendency to live its own life. I'd actually like to hear other people's reasoning about the sort of if you're doing modern warfare and what your what your thoughts are. I mean, it's my there was plenty of people in that war, and they weren't, they were just people, and some weren't. But yeah, it's a big it's a mind twister. We've got John, Bruce. Hello, John. Welcome. Um, Currently prepping some historical German armored car and crew. It's nice. Lovely. I'm not really sure because there's also conversations going here, so I'm not sure if I'm just answering someone else's conversation. Uh, Nervous Portuguese says it's screaming hot here, to the point where my crackle basing paint's almost dry before I'm able to put them on my bases. Yeah, that's a thing. That's actually it's not talked about much, but the climate of where you paint can really affect like how your wet palette dries out if you're using a wet palette, or if it's really moist, how long it takes for paints to dry. If you can rattle can outside or if you can't, and all, you know. I really like painting down here because it's a relatively cool basement, and so paints just stay wet a long time on the palette and stuff like that. But sometimes to get things to dry, I just have to take them upstairs and put them in a window or something, or use a hairdryer or something because it can take ages. Okay, Mark from Montana says, rumor has it when Alex hits, that's me by the way, hi, I'm Alex, hits 52k subs this week or next, he'll be having a lottery. Winner gets half of his stash. My stash of, I could probably live without half of this, but no, there's not going to be a lottery, I'm afraid. People do giveaways and stuff like that. I've done it once just because I had a painted mini and I was like, I'm not going to use this. I'd like to give it away to someone. So I had a giveaway. It was probably a year back or something more than that. It's the only giveaway I've done, and it was a miniature painted by me. But I've always felt it's sort of a lure that I don't really appreciate. It's like, help me get to this, this many followers, and I'll give you something. I'd much rather be like, you give me something. It just feels better, Le Pan Troll says, learning by doing. I agree. Or you just keep on watching and never paint. Yeah. It's a balance, I guess. But I watch surprisingly little of YouTube because I don't really have the time because I paint. So yeah, I guess you have a point. Yeah. Andreas from Cyprus says, I'm trying to decide how to paint my CSE, that would be Stormcast Eternals, from the Dominion box. It's actually that box here. So he's trying to paint fellows that look like that. I want to use the airbrush as much as possible, but can't find a scheme that favors that. Any input would be appreciated. Well, I mean, yeah. You could have a scheme if it's more just not so much going on just the one color, or the majority of them is one color, and then you just add some details. Are you after like an official? Are you after an official sort of one of the official like Stormcast groups, or are you open for like just painting them any way you want? Is my question. John says, when I started painting when I was younger, I used artist oils and got some really great results. I'm thinking of going back to oils. Yeah, please do. I'm using oils more and more. I've only tried to paint one miniature so far using predominantly oils, and I found that challenging, I guess, because it's just a different approach to painting. I think when using only oils, as I say, I'm not the expert, but it sometimes feels like working backwards would be like the opposite way of working with acrylics. Maybe starting with a bright and working down to adding shades instead of starting from something dark and trying to build that up, things like that. But I very much appreciate oils for something as simple as making washes. Diluting it a lot with white spirit makes a wonderful wash, but also for certain things, highlights and stuff like that that need to be smoother. I remember painting like big bird horses for my former Stormcast army, and so it's pretty big. Imagine a very large horse, and so it's got a lot of smooth gradient kind of things are supposed to be going on, and that's kind of tricky to paint. But with oil paint, that's actually rather simple because you can just keep on blending and it doesn't dry on you. My next video is actually going to be on one of the things in the video is actually dry brushing with oils, which turned out kind of spectacular. So yeah, I don't think one needs to choose one or the other, but I think accepting the fact that oils exist and maybe bringing them in for different things is a great resource. Rusty Beetle says too many projects. Yes, we're going to get there. Girl painting from Germany. Hello, welcome back. I hope you're doing well too. How do you like pancakes? Butter, syrup, honey, or Nutella? If they're thick and American, then maple syrup. But mainly when we eat pancakes, we do sort of thinner pancakes and we have jam on them. But I also kind of like that's how, because I have a kid, there's a lot of pancakes are made, and sometimes I get, it's dinner time and it's like it feels like I'm eating a dessert, and so I sometimes see it as a crepe and have like crepey things on there, like cheese and avocado and I don't know what. So that's the thing. Mark from Montana says, I now started painting a Junior scales, Mark. They confuse me. 1/48 scale, German U-boat crewman. I think that's the World War II equivalent of painting an army. After that, I have a really big boat to build. Yes, I saw Mark as a patron. There is a seriously big U-boat. What was it? 1.5 meters or something? It was absolutely huge. It's pretty fantastic, and lots of crewmen, all in white metal. From, was it Victoria Miniatures? I think. So cool. I saw it and I was like, that big manta or whatever, or the tall. What are they? The big knights for Warhammer 40k. It's like they got nothing on that U-boat. Josh says, I'm not sure if you've already covered this, but why 52 miniatures? See, I have so many times that by now it is kind of shrouded in mystery. And so 52 miniatures is, of course, the level you need to get off the elevator when you're traveling down to my bunker. I'm on level 52. I'm sorry, but I'm determined to make a joke out of this by now, and I don't mean no harm by it. Charlie says, "Thank you for this Star Wars Warhammer crossover. It makes me happy and not feel alone when doing this Rebellion Tau army." Yeah, I thought. I mean, I'm very not much for rules in a way, and especially not when painting. I think a lot of the something is supposed to look a specific way can hinder us when we sit down and paint. For some reason, we've been sort of just the fact that you need to paint something a specific way has been sort of sucked into our subconsciousness. And I think a lot of people maybe don't enjoy painting as much just because they don't, you know, you say you play Warhammer 40k and like, oh, do I have to pick the yellow one or the blue one? Do I have to paint the entire army yellow or blue just because, you know, that's the way it's supposed to be? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. There's plenty of people who appreciate it, and you know, there's all of those things. But I also think there's other folks out there that maybe um, don't fit into that box, but still sort of do it just because that's the way it's supposed to be done. And I think more of us maybe could have more fun painting if we just change things up a bit. And if you're sitting there going, you know, this marine's going to, I know the other ones are yellow, but this one's, I just want to paint green today. So this is going to be a green marine. It'll, for reasons. And it's, you know, do that. Keith says, perfect live stream to have in the background when doing some cooking for the evening. That's what are you cooking? Gary says, I'm tired of Games Workshop constant updating or rules. I'm thinking of getting into Stargrave mainly because of your Stargrave I love you video. Yeah. It's a thing. I mean, they need to sort of keep the ball rolling, I guess. So they update, they make new miniatures, they update rules. It's just sort of the way it is. And I think you're right on point that if that's something that you find annoying, then go looking for another game. Stargrave is a great alternative, you know. The issue is, you know, it depends on where you are and if you have people to play with or not. Like playing the big games can be it can be easier to find people to play with. Whereas if you just pick some random skirmish game, then it might be more difficult. But if you're in a closed group where you have specific people that definitely would play with you, then just pick a game that, you know, works. The thing with the Games Workshop rules is that, I mean, that goes hand in hand as well, because in theory you don't have to update the rules just because they do. You could still be playing an old Games Workshop thing if it wasn't for the fact that you're playing like at a game store or anything, because that's when you have to keep, yeah. So it's a juggle. One thing can be to see what's sort of popular in your area, if there's something else but a Games Workshop game, before deciding, you know, if you really want to find people to play with, that can be an option to just see sort of what other things are going. But otherwise, just pick the one that seems more fun. From what I've seen with Stargrave is that there's been expansions, but that has not really been huge changes to the rules. It's just sort of add-ons, you know, and new character abilities and stuff like that. Gary keeps on saying, Games Workshop seems to come up with a new rule set before I've had a chance to paint up my full army. This is true, though, which is, you know, it depends on. But I mean, I've been working on my new army for a year. Admittedly, very slow. My last army took a year to make, so that if they keep on updating games every third year, then, a third of that time is painting up the new army. So yeah. Louis says, I'm painting a Warlord Epic ACW starter box. Seems to be endless over the last few weeks. Armies are kind of endless. I made a video on that as well about the only time I've actually finished a large army, and that honestly, that was Stormcast as well. So it's not a huge amount of miniatures because they're all sort of superhumans. So you don't need all that many for an army. For me, at least, required quite a lot of dedication. It was like, okay, I'm just going to sit down and finish this army, which is touching a little bit on sort of the half subject for today, which is, have I got too many projects going? Because my army is not going to be finished within a year. It's going to be like 2 years if I keep on going at this pace, because I've added so many other projects. This has to do with lots of reasons. That I take time painting miniatures and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll get more into it in a bit. But it's a thing. Painting miniatures can take time if you're that kind of personality. There's people that paint armies in a weekend. And there's people who paint armies for a year or two and everything in between. Hello, General Atrox from Spain. Mark from Montana says, Yoda dies? What? I love this chat. It's like you're light years ahead of me. So in theory, Yoda must have died for you before he did for me, honestly. So I'm kind of surprised that you're surprised. That guy in the sky, welcome, says, Alex, you mentioned in the past that your photography career brought you to some danger places, encounters. Would elaborate if possible. Appreciate your craft and channel. Also, Hedgie is doing fine. Yeah, that guy in the sky has a hedgehog that comes to watch my stream, which is pretty cool. That's the way I see it anyway. I have been to some places for work, mainly doing pro bono work for aid organizations. I haven't done that in a while, mainly as well because of the pandemic. It's been a way for me to sort of, instead of like donating money to an aid organization, I can donate my services type of a thing. And I've worked with organizations that work quite a bit with children in like vulnerable situations, like war zones and stuff like that. So refugee camps and stuff. None of the places I've been to have been excessively dangerous. I was in South Sudan once, and so there was a de facto war going on at the same time, but we weren't really in any very dangerous places, and security is pretty screwed up. Not screwed up, tight security. But yeah, I've been to some nasty places, seen some nasty things, but yeah. Louis says, I see the Oathmark human cavalry box. Be meaning to give those a bash. Yeah. It's one of those things that I guess a curiosity, and because I get stuck in like Warhammer, because it's a game that I play, Age of Sigmar. And so I buy a lot of that stuff and I work on a lot of that miniatures. And then sometimes I just realize, what does other stuff look like? And the Osprey Games actually reached out to me at some point. This was a while back, and like, would you like something? Because that's what people do when you have a YouTube channel. And I was like, can you send me some random miniatures? And I absolutely love these. They're great. Just you can't see them, but just the faces and it's just. I can see how, because I'm not going to say that this is, and there's nothing wrong with it, but they are simpler than something that maybe would come from Games Workshop in a sort of, I'm going to have to say, charming way. I just love how this looks. And I think if I would put these together, I would also probably maybe paint them less, I do try and impress, a lot of the time. And with these, this I could see painting an army in less than a year if I would be doing this. And I think I would just enjoy seeing it on the table as well, because it's simple but fun. The faces are great, and yeah. So I'd like to. I'd kind of like to have the time to work on this kind of stuff. These are from North Star, I think, which make great things for Stargrave as well, and lots of games. Let's see. But as you can see, I haven't even about the thing with the many projects that I should be starting to talk about soon. But yeah, I haven't even clipped anything off the sprue. Jamie says, we saw The Force Awakens in the cinema, and my girlfriend was genuinely spoiled for the character death by someone loudly complaining about it, walking out of the previous screening like Homer Simpson. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be like joking about, whoever dies in whatever movie. It just feels like in this context that we're in right now, with like people joining a live chat in this realm, would have seen Star Wars movies. But one should never spoil a movie. You're quite right. See, Morgus is doing some epic admin stuff here, which is, if you enjoy Alex, which why not come and enjoy Alex? Make sure to hit up the Patron, or follow me on Instagram, which is 52 Miniatures, and check out the merch on Teespring. You covered it, Morgus. Thank you. And yes, any support is greatly appreciated. That means I can, buy fancier tea and stuff. Days says, hey Alex, would love your input for live stream painting video cameras and lenses. I'm considering a 50mm prime lens. Any thoughts? Tricky question. I know so much about stuff, and at the same time I know so little. I've always kind of, because I work with this cameras, I see them very much as tools, and money is usually not a huge issue because it's just stuff I need for work. And so I just, if it's time to buy a new camera, I go buy a new camera and new lenses, and everything is really expensive, and but I don't go and nerd in on things. I don't know anything about cameras really. I don't know anything about lenses really, but I'd say if you're going to be painting miniatures, like, you can see your hand and your brush and stuff like that, you would want to look into something that has some kind of macro, or the ability to get close. Even if you buy a 50mm prime, it might be that you still can't get that close with the lens because it won't focus, and you end up having a miniature that's like this small on the screen. So that's something you kind of want to make sure. Then regarding cameras and lenses, it's there's so much, and the price differences are massive. So yeah, it's a very tricky question to ask. Oh, there was a large jump. Oh dear, there's lots of thanks to be shed. Thank you, Clyde, um, for buying me even more coffee, and also that guy in the sky. Thank you very much, guys. Um, I appreciate it. Now I can go buy that celebratory adult bubble drink for when it's 52,000 subscribers. Awesome. Ray, are you asking me if I play Kill Team 40k as well? If you are, I'm just going to get rid of these because they're making a lot of noise. I don't play any 40k. I'm painting Space Marines now just because I love the Beaky Marines. I think they're great, and they're actually kind of fun to paint. Because I painted the one, and then I was like, this is a good design. It's kind of meant to be painted, and it's a very open canvas. I feel like I can do anything with them, which is to me even more strange than that everyone. No, I'm not going to say that. But yeah, it's a very neutral and sort of a great thing to paint. But I don't play any 40k. I do play Stargrave and Age of Sigmar as of now. Hello, Michael Cohen. Good afternoon. John Roos says that in truth, there's no good guy side in historicals, but and let's face it, the 40k Imperium of Man is hardly glorious. That's the thing as well. It's not really mentioned all the, totalitarian fascist regime that favors genocide is what 40k is about a lot of the time. So yeah. Sad Panda. Hello, Sad Panda. Good afternoon. Has a question. Is that a hobby lamp or a photography lamp beside you? Where could I source one? The long one or the round one, small one? This is a both of these are for film. This is from a company called Aperture, and it's handy because it screws into any kind of light bulb source wherever, but it's also battery driven. As you can see, it's magic. But this means like on set, you can screw this into any socket anywhere if there's place for it, because it's rather large, and then you can just set the right color temperature for when you're filming, and it can do fancy stuff like flicker and stuff like that. What's this company called? I can never remember. These are kind of expensive. Called Nanlite. Yeah, they're kind of pricey. Nanlite. When I paint, I use at the moment I've got it's like a LED panel kind of a thing. It's also an Aperture lamp, the company Aperture, and at some point I want to make a video on mainly maybe on photographing miniatures and stuff like that. It's just difficult for me to condense that into a video because I think I know a bit too many things. And I'm not saying that by bragging. It's just difficult. So much about what I do when it comes to cameras and stuff like that is more of a reflex. It's not sort of conscious thought going, because I've been doing it for quite some time. And but I want to do a video on sort of how to photograph your miniatures, because I know quite a bit of photography, but it's difficult for me to do because I don't really know where to start. But there's something that's not talked about all that much when it comes to light, which is, I guess you could say, the quality of light when it comes to synthetic light, when it's not the sun shining. and it's I can't remember what it's called, if it's a CRI or whatever it's called. It's actually because light, there's a spectrum of lots of different colors in light, and especially LEDs can lack, like they can completely lack red. So there's just like green and blue light coming, even if it feels like it's cold or if it's warm or whatever. It can lack frequencies of specific colors in the light, which will actually affect what things look like. This is very common in cheap LEDs, which can actually result in that you're looking at something and it doesn't, a red won't look as red, or a skin tone will actually look a bit purple, stuff like that. And our eyes are relatively good at sort of adjusting for that, but not super great. So people talk a lot about, that daylight temperature is a good temperature to work in, and I agree, but it's also quite a lot about at least a decent quality lamp, because a lot of cheap LED lamps out there are not decent. In that case, it's better to try and sit next to a window. But yeah. Kim says, at some point I'd like to try Conflict 47. Love the idea of a World War II involving into Battletech. Yes, me too. It sounds like a fun game, Conflict 47. Alternative future kind of a thing. Adrian says, coming soon, making more money painting Space Marines, the new online store for original dioramas by 52 Miniatures. Good idea. I mean, what am I going to do with all of them when I'm done? And there's at least, how many Marines in the box? 52? Joseph says, I tend to find with historicals, at least for me, I end up doing a specific battle and not really collect an army. But it solves the problem since I got the British next to my Germans displayed. That's pretty cool still, like reenacting specific battles. I never thought of that. Of course, that's what you're doing. I've just never really played many historicals, but that's actually cool. Apollonia says, I see an Infinity box. Have you painted them? I just bought my first starter and want to see how they get painted. Yes, I'm painting. I've got probably half of my Stargrave crew that I'm working on at the moment is Infinity models. Which is okay. So that's a good starting point for my too many projects thing. So I don't know how many of you remember when it started with Stargrave. I wanted to get into Stargrave, and I was quite excited by the fact that I could just buy any miniature and have it as my crew, or as my random encounter pirates or ruffians or whatever. I can just it's very encouraged in the book even to just pick what you want, paint that. And I love it because that's a great way of staying motivated when painting stuff you like. So I kind of went bananas and bought so much stuff. I probably bought about 20 or 30 miniatures, ending up using 10 for my crew. And that would have been more than a year ago. And so far I have like a base layer on half of that crew. That being said, I've painted another Stargrave crew, which was the Veil Touched miniatures from Dave from Mini Wargaming. I've also painted up 10 ruffians that are random encounters in the game, and I painted up, I think, 10 space pirate orcs that are pirates in the game. So in the end, it's still, but for some reason, I built up this huge pretentious idea of how great I was going to paint these Infinity models and some others, and so they just sat on the shelf, and I've sort of forced myself to start putting some paint on them, but I can still see them over here, and they've been on that table during the production of at least 3 videos for YouTube, doing completely other things, and they're just staring at me. I've then got, let's just remove Oathmark out of the equation for now. Then got my Stormcast army, which is I have 5 paladins to paint. I have a wagon to paint. I have a general to paint. I have a hero in Dustra with big wings to paint. I have 3 annihilators to paint. I have 5 vindictors, I think, to paint. And I think that might be it, because I've already painted some. And I started that a year ago, pretty much, when all this new stuff was released. I'm really interested in this conquest stuff. Like, seriously, I would like to do it. I also want to play the Silver Bayonet, which is a game by Joseph McCullough, the same gentleman that wrote Stargrave. And I've started to paint Beaky Marines. And I've started to get to the point where this is like, on one hand, it's like, it's fine because I enjoy painting, and so if as long as I have something to paint, I'm kind of happy. But then there's the other side of the fact that I actually want to play games. So I want to play Stargrave with that crew, because that's the hand-picked crew. I've played Stargrave with my other crew, but I want my hand-picked crew. And I want to play Age of Sigmar. I haven't played Age of Sigmar in like 6 months or something. So it's not actually getting the painting done that's stressing me out. It's the fact that I want to play the games. But then I keep on inventing all these new things, like painting Beaky Marines, just because it's fun. It's like this little small project. I can just relax, just paint the one mini and have fun. Or I can like sit down and have my army, and like, where am I going to start? And I think the worst thing is that it's also got to do with space, because when I was predominantly still at home, it was like I would buy the one box, and I'd paint it, and then I'd go buy another box, and then I would paint it, and it would be kind of consequential. Oh, I've got all my MDF terrain. It's sort of hiding kind of behind here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 houses. There's another one coming in the mail, and I've also 3D printed out about 6 or 7 like freight containers. I'm gonna build like walkways. I made a modular river. There's stuff going on, and I know this is what people do. We buy stuff, but the worst thing is I bought stuff with intent to do things with them, and so it's not just a box that's like, oh, if I painted it or not, it doesn't really matter. I can just, if it stays on the shelf for 5 years, I can just sell it. That's not the point of these boxes. The point of these boxes is all things that I want to do. And so I'm starting to wonder, like, should I not maybe have got that box? Or should I just give these away because there's just no chance of, or should I just paint more? I don't know. I'm starting to get a bit of an overwhelming feeling of things that a lot of these things I've already started them. I started them like a year ago, and I'm not even halfway with any of the projects. Apart from Stargrave, kind of, because I did all the other like side things, but the crew is not even halfway done. What do you guys do? I'd like to hear it. I'm also kind of intrigued by my space theory. Like if you just paint your kitchen table every now and again, and you know there's not room for more, then maybe you're on schedule. Whereas if you have a hobby room, it's just slowly filling up with stuff. And how do you prioritize? Brooks says, greetings from Grimsby. Thank you for the excellent Stormcast content. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm at the moment I'm trying to kit bash some paladins, hopefully for a video. Yeah, I forgot. I got my dragons as well. The dragons are done, but I need to paint the dragon riders. Yeah, but yeah, there will be more Stormcast content, definitely. Hey, Vectron says lemon juice and sugar. That's the right answer for thin pancakes. You're entirely correct. It actually slipped my mind. I don't think I have ever had pancakes without at least one pancake being that. Nick says, greetings from Ireland, prepping some death rattle skeletons at the moment and finishing up some Stormcast Vindictors in a custom scheme. Sounds cool. What's a death rattle skeleton? Because it sounds cool too. Mogus says, regarding giveaways, I think they can be a lot of fun, but they can definitely replace interest in your actual content. I think they're a good booster. Yeah. I've just never really figured out how people do it. Like, do they actually go out and buy? Because some of the stuff is like, here, it's a box of this and that, and it's rather expensive. And is that stuff that they were given that they then give away? I don't know. Dan from Japan, I really appreciate your videos. Hope all is well. All is well, Dan. Thank you. How is Japan, and how is the hobby in Japan? If you can answer, I'd be interested to know. Marcus Stratus, good morning. Good morning to you too. Whoops, placing water on. I need to remove this so I can see stuff. See, it's even to the point where I got a new table yesterday because my other two tables are occupied with stuff. So I got a new table. That's how I solved the problem, and that's when I realized, like, maybe I should just. Do I need to like really just sit down for like a week, not talk to anyone, and just finish my Stormcast army, just or whatever, one of these things, and just get some of it out of the way? Because there's this constant of all the projects at the same time. There's always the terrain and the Stargrave and the Stormcast army, like a constant, and then I fill in with other things along the way, and yeah. Hello, Lee Sweeney. And Bob, morning from Idaho. Lila Pentroll says, I'm playing Blood Bowl. Tons of alternative minis, your own team color schemes, and little rule changes. Yes. I wish I would. I think, again, I have like a conceptual thing that I want my miniatures to fight or shoot. And when they play sport, I lose interest. It's a strange thing because it's just rules. And, it might as well be my miniature runs into your miniature with a dagger. Now it just my miniature runs into your miniature with a ball. But a lot of people seem to have a lot of fun with Blood Bowl. I totally agree. People paint. There's a lot more freedom going. People just paint whatever. There's tons of fun miniatures, and it just seems relaxed and enjoyable, and not so sort of hardcore correctness going. So yeah. Edgar says, I own something like £3,000 plus of 40k models and books, and I can't play because every time I look at the rules, are out of date. I moved to other games that don't have frequent paid rules. Yeah, it's a thing. I don't really. It's like a big tumble down a deep hole, usually involving one's own shovel, talking about these things. But free rules would be a great thing, and like update, like if you buy. Like if you buy a set of paladins, then to be ensured of forever being able to play with them without having to pay more money would be a cool thing, because a lot of people are doing that. Like you can download free rules, but if you want the fancy book, you have to pay for it. But yeah. That guy in the sky says, I started on a Space Wolf army 30 years ago. Dreadnought finally finished. See, 30 years for an army. That's not too bad. Clyde says, as far as I see it, too many projects. It's better to have more so that if you hit a slump with one, you can progress with the other. I totally agree with that. I would even recommend it. That's the worst bit. It's just question is like how many is many, because I love being able to sometimes just work on different things at the same time because of like paint drying. So I can be like, maybe I painted something with oil paint and like, okay, I can't touch this for 2 days. I'll go fiddle with my MDF house next hobby time or whatever. Or as you say, just when you get bored, it's like I can't touch another Space Marine for days. It's a good thing I've got an Infinity Lizard thingy with the Power Fist to paint instead. And even how you can, I think one of my major inspirations, like I said about these Oathmark thingies, just looking at them, I would be like, wow, this would be fun. And probably I would probably maybe slap a bit more paint on these and not make a huge deal about it, because I'm not saying this as there's anything wrong with them. It just it doesn't look as serious as Games Workshop in a good way. It's just more fun and approachable, I guess, is the word for it. And having a project like that at the same time as maybe a more time intensive or difficult or like a pretentious project is great as well, because then you can just go, I've had it with the edge highlights, I'm just going to go do some dry brushing now, and you move to the other project. Or if you're same as maybe doing terrain at the same time, or having a bust to paint, which is totally different than painting little army men, is a great thing to keep motivation going. But is there a limit? Like I'm starting to feel that like three or four large projects going at the same time is maybe the limit. Matt says, hope you're doing well. I'm attending my first painting class on the 20th of August at a local GameStop. Any tips on how to attain the most from it? Um, no. I mean, it depends on who the teacher is, I'd have to say. Um, if you've got a good teacher, then hopefully they will give you the tips on how to attain the most from it. Um, I don't know. Yeah, no, that's it's a very difficult thing to say. But I hope it's a good teacher because um, that would be the big reason to actually do it in person and not just watch videos and stuff like that. Um, I guess make sure you get some. I don't know what the workshop is about, but make sure you maybe if you have an issue with something, make sure you get some hello help teacher. Um, like engage as much with the teacher, and they will engage more with you. Maybe. Mogi says we got to get an earpiece for Alex so we can whisper recent chat into his ear when he's so far behind. Yeah, that'd be confusing. That was like Yoda's been dead for like half an hour. Yeah. Jez has just finished painting the minis from the Slain starter box by Warlord Games. So it's the same company as... No, this is not Warlord. This is North Star Military Figures. Sorry. Prepping more from the range now. Skirmish games for the win. Yeah, skirmish is a cool thing. I enjoy both. I enjoy the armies thing as well. The sort of 4 or 5 hour crunch of rules, and it's a thing. I like it. But skirmish is good too. Keanu says, currently reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. What do you think about new sci-fi books? Any recommendations? Yeah, I haven't done a recommendation video in a while. I also haven't been reading all that much in a while because of stuff, time, moving, family. But I'm currently reading, what's his name? Alistair Reynolds. I've read the Dan Abnett books, the 40K ones, just to sort of get into that. But yeah, I should do another recommendation video. As any recommendations now for something that's current is a good question. I have not really read anything that's new. I'll have to think about that. Let's see. Lee says, my wife and I updated cat pictures at local shelters to help people choose them. As first pick is the cat just grabbed and stuck me in the box. Seemed to help. I don't get you, Lee. Maybe I just jumped in on someone's conversation here. ABC says, "Hey, love your channel. Do you think there will be a real Space Marine someday? You mean a real one, as not in the Beaky Marine? I painted one real Space Marine. There's one video. It's yellow, and I don't know. The reason I really like these Beaky ones. The other ones, not so much. Not yet, anyway." Maybe probably because I see them so much, but that goes for the Beaky Marines as well. At least since the release, they're everywhere. But there's something about the aesthetic of these that speak more to me. and the whole grimdark vibe just suits better somehow. But who knows? Marcus Stratus says, "Don't forget to like." This is very true, Marcus, because of the strangeness of YouTube. People will only know that this chat exists if you press like. The more people that press like, the more people will see that this live stream actually exists. It's something to do with I don't know, YouTube-ness. Monstercraft asks, "Have you ever considered doing a turnip 28 conversion?" I would very much like to. It would be fun to. Max is the gentleman that created Turnip 28, and he's a great fellow. We've talked about other things at one point. That hasn't happened yet because I asked him for something, but yeah, anyway. But he's great, and Turnip 28 is fabulous. But yeah, see, maybe that's the issue. Maybe there's too many great things about. I should get an assistant that paints stuff for me. I can get into more games. But no, I've actually thought about that sort of the Turnip 28, and also my kind of, I'm intrigued by the Silver Bayonet game. Those two are very sort of mergeable, I think. So I could be sort of doing Turnip 28-esque miniatures maybe, but use them for Silver Bayonet. But yeah, I have a peaked interest in Turnip 28 as well. Alexander from Norway says, "The pandemic was not too kind on my backlog. I currently have models for 40k, Kings of War, Infinity, and Relic Blade on my desk." That sounds familiar. I mean, yeah. I think it's what you do with them when you're done, I guess. Because I mean, for me, it's the urge. I want to play the games. So that's with the terrain as well. I want the terrain to play the games, and I'm constantly like printing. I've got these things. Sorry. That was a good noise, wasn't it? All these like shipping containers. I've been getting good use out of my filament printer, which is great for like scatter terrain. They just need to be painted. Tons more of that kind of stuff. I think if I was just, I think that's why I enjoy doing that sort of Stormtrooper diorama, and the next one that's going to come. It takes me away from these things, because they're not for games. They're just for fun. That's the pure enjoyment of painting and making a little diorama. And so I'm wondering if that is that maybe the issue, that it's not the size of this pile. There's more to this pile. This is just what was around. Because you can change your mind. You can paint something and then you not paint something, and after a while you can be like, oh, these paladins still have the plastic on them. I'll just sell them on eBay or whatever. Or if 5 years later you go like, oh, Conquest, I can paint one of them now. That'll be fun. But I have a plan for all of them that involves playing games, and at the same time I don't want to rush it, because I want to enjoy the painting, and I need to make a video about it too. Kind of prolongs the process a bit. That could be another thing as well. Maybe I should just scratch one of these from the video Like just do the Marines. I mean, the Stormcast, and just paint them without filming them or anything, and then just have like a reveal, like this is my army, this is what it looks like, and just scratch that from. Um, but that would mean painting lots of stuff that doesn't end up in videos, and time is sometimes a bit scarce when having a job and a kid and doing this at the same time. I got a question about the light again from Sad Panda. Nan light. Yeah, like the bread. Nan light, but in one word. But yeah, these are rather pricey. Let's see. Louis says, we're back to the Nazi question. Sorry about being slow, but I'm in a parallel dimension when it comes to the chat. It's just my lot. Essentially, not everyone was a Nazi. No, this is very true. But it's also like, it's a tricky thing. I mean, in Sweden, it's illegal to walk around with the swastika. Just because, and I think that's fair, because it's let's not go there. KA says, you're so close to 52,000 subscribers, you should do something special. Yeah, I know, people have been telling me, and I kind of forgot. I've got no idea how many subscribers I've got right now, but I trust you, close to 52,000. Maybe it'll have to be a private little thing. Maybe we can have a Patreon party on Discord. I don't know. There'll be tons of emojis. Emoji party. Is that good enough? Yeah. Louis says, just as not as every guardsman is an evil follower of the great dictator emperor. Probably not, but they die all the same. Tom says, greetings from Germany. I'm listening from Berlin. I still want to go. I used to. Sorry, is base gardening? Tom is base gardening. Is that you making a little garden on a base for a miniature, or are you actually out in the garden building a miniature base? Because that's a bit confusing. But yeah, I sure would like to go to Berlin. I used to go quite frequently, but have not, as all of us, we haven't traveled in a while. One Point in Crafting says, I know the resin didn't work out in your recent project, but I love the possibility of you doing more dioramas. Oh, for sure. I enjoy, I mean, that's why the pile is growing, because I also just mentally, if I find new things that I enjoy, and right now it's the little dioramas. So this was the spoiled one, but there is now one that is not spoiled, which is great. And I have ideas for at least 2 or 3 more, or even 4. But I want to get back to making some sort of normal videos as well, like they usually are, and having the little dioramas with as a sort of side project, I guess you could call it. It's been great, just to film the actual crafting and the painting, and not so much the other things around, especially just now as well, because like my kid is off from school. He's got summer holidays and stuff. Like I should be having summer holidays, but I'm 52 levels down in a bunker, talking to a camera, making exploding resin dioramas. That guy in the sky says 52 subs, perhaps an Airbnb weekend at the country house giveaway or a dinosaur from the Sun's collection without his knowledge, of course. Yeah, I'm still thinking, like, shouldn't everyone be giving me presents? I'm the one who's been working hard. Why should I give stuff away constantly? Just giving stuff. I'm just kidding. My parents would be surprised though if someone just turns up and be like, "Hi, we're here for the we won the giveaway. Where's our breakfast?" Ed says, "I have projects I started 20 years ago, and that's fine. If I never get back to them, I'll be doing something else fun. Don't stress over what you don't do. If what you do is it's don't stress over what you don't do. It's what you do that's important." This is very true, and I think that's the one of the things is I want to do all these things. I'm not stressing as in stressing. It's just I just want to play the game and I want my miniatures done, but I also don't want to stress it. And so the pile grows because there's so much fun stuff. But should there be like prioritization? Should I start like I just really should just get this done? No more little resin diorama, just chill with that. Get some of the, reduce a bit so that it can grow again, or is it going to be like an eternal, and then all of a sudden it's just trapped under plastic? Closet Hobbyist says, "Necromunda, baby. I only have a small desk to do mine." So you mean as in Necromunda, as in it's a smaller style game? Yeah. I mean, that's fine as well. I mean, just the one game. I'm interested in so many games. Lila Pintroll says, "I never buy new minis if the previous ones are not finished." Yeah. See, that's a technique. I can definitely see how that works for some. You buy the packet, you paint the packet, you're done. You buy the next packet. I'm not sure I'm capable of that because I've figured out that I enjoy myself more if I have several projects going. It's just that the several projects have been too large and too many. Yeah, I don't know if they're too large or too many. They're large and there are many. Forget about the two. Clyde says, "I have a little of everything on the table to be viewable, so that when I walk by and I'm in the mood for hobby, one of the projects will call to me. I'll sit down and work a little on something." Exactly. That's kind of what I like. Only I now have 3 tables with a lot of everything on. But yeah, totally. I'm looking at my Stargrave crew. It's over there. They're so pretty. Not as in the painting, but just the actual sculpts. James says, "I 3D print sci-fi minis from one-page rules. I only allow myself to print one army at a time." Yeah, and then once that is painted, I can start printing another. There's still a fair quantity of miniatures, James. But yeah, that's another part of the equation. There's a 3D printer over there. But in all fairness, there's been some of that for some videos. Because they have been sponsored videos. But a lot of the stuff that comes out of that 3D printer is used in, for kit bashing or for basing or for the terrain, stuff like that. Yeah. But 3D printers can be dangerous because they can definitely poop out miniatures. Jamie says, as someone with ADHD, I have loads of half-finished projects I had big dreams for. But these days I don't mind so much because I enjoyed the time I spent with them, and that's important too. Yeah, it definitely is. I guess I get a commitment thing as well because I start making videos about stuff. It's like, I mean, not that I would want to. I very much want to have a Stormcast army, regardless of videos and viewers. But what if I would just drop it and like not where no more Stormcast? I know there's a lot of people that watch my channel because they like watching what I do with the Stormcast. I know that maybe they would also like me doing other things because to be honest, I do a lot of things on the channel already. But yeah. Paint them all, sell the ones you don't like or want or like. Yes, yeah, I want to like. I like them all. I want them all. Let's see. Paul says, I usually have 1 or 2 projects on the go, single minis or small units. I buy models I think I will want to paint, and getting a dedicated space has definitely meant getting paints and minis. Getting more paints and minis, I guess you mean. Yeah, see, I think 4 is a lot, and 1 to 2 is a good thing. Like if I would have, when I decided to do Stargrave, and then pretty much after that also wanted new Age of Sigmar, if I would maybe just have stuck to those 2 projects, then yeah. But I mean, at the same time, I don't feel like I want to be done now. I just want to play the game. Maybe I should just assemble them and play with them anyway. I did that with my first army. That was, there's nothing wrong with that. Bill making stuff. Good afternoon. How are you, Bill? Good to see you. Hi. Bill's a very nice fellow. I take that back. Bill is a great crafter. I'm sorry, Bill. If there's anyone here in this stream that hasn't seen Bill Making Stuff's YouTube channel, which you probably have, but if you haven't, please go check it out. Just make sure you give me the money and not Bill. Cal says, it's all just sparkling potential. It is. I know. I wish I could be more just focused, I guess. Because I randomly just, well, no, let's just make a diorama. I could have finished. For the 2 dioramas I built, I could have finished these 2 boxes instead. But I didn't because I was inspired to make a diorama. And I had tons of fun. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just sometimes I wish I was a bit more sort of focused, I guess. But you're right. It's all just sparkling potential. I've actually started. I decided this is a fake Paladin box. No, it isn't. But this one I'm probably going to sell because when I planned my army, I thought I was going to need the 10 of these, but I didn't. I only need 5, not boxes, miniatures. So I have another one at home. I'm going to kit bash stuff, and I've taken that home. So I'm really looking forward to doing some kit bashing, honestly. Especially after the Resin failure. See, that's why it's great to have different projects. You do something and then you're a bit like, nah, I kind of don't really want to make another diorama because I don't like Resin right now. And so then you can go kit bash some. And then whoever views your videos is going to be really confused because you're like, wait, what happened to why are we kit bashing all of a sudden? No, I'll hopefully divide it into different videos. KCP says, I'm a kitchen table hobbyist, just end up filling up the rest of the house. I'm terrible for having multiple projects on the go at once. I like having options so I can work on whatever. It seems to be a trend. Michael says, my hobby space is also my work home PC desk. My storage is the bottom shelf of a cupboard. I still keep buying stuff, though. Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. B says, I've come to terms with juggling a dozen different projects at once, really. I just group them into skirmish stuff, army stuff, terrain, and discard pile. I'll probably sell and trade at some point. A dozen. That's pretty good stuff. I like the spur of the moment feeling. That was with, like, I did that modular river. That was like just on like a day's notice. I was like, I'm gonna make a river, and I just made a river. It was nothing I planned, and it's great to be able to just do whatever you feel like. Which is so much fun. And at the same time, indulging in too many spontaneous projects means the pile grows. Jan Ray says hello. Hello. Adrian says, got the starter box for Carnivale, and then a hot wire cutter and some XPS foam to make the canals, and books about Venetian architecture so I can build some terrain. At some point, I'll play. It seemed like an intriguing game. I haven't. I've looked at it. It's like tons of fun miniatures, and obviously setting. Tricky to build though, like all that. It's I'm not tricky, but dealing with like medieval rough stone ruins is maybe easier than pretty gorgeous Venice. But yeah. Joseph says, I do the same thing. I buy more projects, new shiny kits of fun, than I can do in a year or 3. And if I need more space, I move. But I haven't reached the point of needing a bunker yet. Yeah. As soon as you get a bunker, you kind of grow into it, I think. But I mean, having the space to be able to buy a new table when the other tables are filled up with stuff is a nice thing. Mark from Montana says, what happens when you have too much stuff? Time for a poll. A, ignore the situation. B, give away. C, sell. D, build faster. E, buy bigger house. I'd say buy a bigger house. I know you're moving to a bigger house, and I got a bunker. But yeah, I mean, in my situation, I don't feel like I definitely give away stuff that I would never use. My issue is I want to use all of it. That's the issue, I guess. Bill Making Stuff says, is the chat that delayed? No, probably not, really. I keep saying the chat is delayed. It's actually that I take a long time answering stuff. And yeah. I also talk for extended periods of time about things that people haven't even asked me about, just to make time pass. But yeah, so it's not that delayed. It's just that I'm way behind. Lumberbean Gaming says, greetings from Southern Maryland. One of my projects is trying to create an indie mini agnostic rule set. It's fun at first, then you get to rules crunch and it stalls. I can see that. Like, you enjoy creating the setting and the stories and theoretical rules, and then when you actually need to make sure that not something is overpowered or everything is in balance and things work, then you're down to mathematics. And then can you get someone else in on the project as well that can help out with that kind of stuff? Could be an idea. Cryptic Paintwork says, personally, when I set something aside for more than a week, coming back to finish it always feels like a chore. So I try and keep the number of things I'm working on low to maintain momentum. That's very true, actually. That's a good point. I think that's why my Stargrave crew has been suffering, because I think I primed them like 6 months ago, if not more. Like I assembled them, I based them, and then I primed them, Zenithal primed them. And then I started doing other things. Whereas if I like open a box and I paint it and then finish it, usually that happens faster than if I open 10 boxes and try and not as in having many projects. There can still be lots of projects, but that tiny part of a project to actually finish that, like finish painting in one miniature, not half, like there's half painted Stargrave crew miniatures there, which is really quite a bad idea. I agree. Not finishing the entire army, but at least finishing the one little dude or dudess, or the one squad, before jumping over to the MDF terrain or something. It's a very good point. Joseph? Was it Joseph? Sorry. I get confused. No, it was Cryptic Paintworks. I'm sorry. Joseph was just below you there in the chat. That guy in the sky, thank you for more food to put on the table. He says, Mogus has terrible food choices. Quick one. Okay. Pineapple pizza. Yay or nay? We've had this one. We've had this one before. And obviously, having pineapple on your pizza is an exceptional idea. I wouldn't go to banana. Banana is stretching it. But pineapple on a pizza is a fine thing. I hope you don't want your money back. Lee asks me, how was your birthday cake? My birthday cake was excellent. All my patrons have had the opportunity to see my birthday cake on our Discord. It was made out of pancakes. It was a pancake cake, and it was fabulous. That's also a very good way to, eat your pancakes, is to make a cake out of them. You have like a pancake, and then you put cream, whipped cream, and like a jam, and then you put another pancake, and then you put like whipped cream and jam, and then you keep on going until you have a cake, and then you eat it, and you will be forever, at least for a couple of hours, a very happy person. Louis says, learn how to take good care of your brushes before you learn advanced techniques. It's a very true point. I've actually got my brushes in case it was going to be a slow day with just me and the hedgehog in the chat. I actually prepped here because my brushes desperately need to be cleaned. I'd like to clean my brushes in between every project using this fancy brush soap someone gave me, the Masters Brush Cleaner and Preserver. I like to do it in between projects because I have fancy like natural hair brushes. Mainly red grass games and Winsor & Newton brushes, and so I like to clean them properly between every project. But I don't think I have done that for the last 3 projects, and I can tell from how they're acting. So I really need to clean them before jumping on to the next project, which is hopefully finishing that crew. But it's not going to be. It's going to be probably kit bashing one of these. I don't know. Red says, so what games minis did you buy that you kind of regret getting, and what is one that you're glad you got or was better than expected? I don't regret any of them, I don't think. Um, no, I have no regrets. I am enjoying everything. I think that's maybe. I mean, if there was anything I didn't enjoy, then I would get rid of it. So I think that's the issue. I'm enjoying all of it. There's even stuff that I wish I could enjoy, but I'm sort of refraining from getting because I um, don't really. Yeah, as we have discussed, would be one more project. Um, Edgar says, I've been custom making ghost models for the last year on my channel, every possible way to make a cloak. I've been thinking I want to make a cloak, maybe. I've never made the one. So, but yeah. I got a great tip from a gentleman called Phil, who is a patron, to use because I thought, I should use green stuff or whatever. And he gave me the tip of using like a soda can. You cut it up so you have that really thin sort of aluminium metal. Careful not to cut yourself, and shape that sort of as a cloak. And then you can use that. You can put sort of milliput or green stuff or whatever on there for texture, but then you've got sort of a rigid shape to work on. Yeah, he said that was a great place to start if one has never made a cloak before. And I'm kind of curious to try that. Evening, Mike here. I hope you're doing well. He says, my cat adopted me, not the other way around. This is usually the way with cats. They can even leave when they feel that they need to adopt someone else. Okay, this is me being late replying to stuff. But ABC meant Space Marines, because I was saying I'm not sure I like the 40k Space Marines. I like the 30k Space Marines, but he meant Space Marines in real life, roaming the interstellar space. I hope I won't be alive. I mean, I won't, but it doesn't, in honesty, sound like fun. Pretty annoying when sort of tons of Space Marines show up and just blow up your planet. I hate when that happens. Back to me being late about replying as well. It's Lee Sweetney was clarifying about taking pictures, volunteering, taking better pictures of cat in shelters than for them to use on a website to help them get adopted. That's a very good thing, Lee. Good work. Clyde says, weird existential crisis. Without likes, do we really exist? I don't think so. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be paying the bills anyway. Well, it doesn't really pay the bills. It pays some bills. But without the likes, I would pay no bills. And as regarding that, as Mogus says, if you like Alex, which is, make sure to check out the Patron. I mean, you don't have to like me. You can dislike me, but you can like the videos. That's fine too. But if you want to support the continued, I mean, the video is going to get created anyway. I'm not selling this very well. If you just like what I'm doing and you feel like that's great. Can I support you somehow? Then there is a Patron, and there is also a merch Teespring thingy. There's even a button in this chat, which is, some people have been very generous. Thank you. Or you can just remember to press the like and write a comment whenever there's a video. That's a great thing too. It's silly. Sometimes it kind of feels like, I'm not going to say begging, but I'm very tired of saying it every time. It's like, don't forget to like and subscribe and write a comment and all of that. I would prefer not to, but it is actually, I've been experimenting, and when you say it, people go like, "Oh, I forgot to press like," and because of YouTube, then the video gets shared to more people, and more people get to enjoy them. Hopefully. So it's a strange thing. I feel like it's something I would prefer not to say it honestly, but it actually works reminding people because we forget. I forget as well when I watch videos on YouTube, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, yeah, of course I need to press like, and it actually helps. So okay. And time has flown away, my lord. It's already 6 o'clock. So I'm going to try and maybe read a bit faster because I'm not going to be doing this all that much longer. I actually need to go and water my parents' plants for some reason. I don't know. Apparently, plants can't water themselves. It's a strange thing. Why my parents can't water the plants is beyond me, but hi, I'm just here to water the plants. Don't mind the people that are coming tomorrow and say they want breakfast. Just, they won a contest. It's fine. Victor says, I got some fancy scale 75 paints and really revived my desire to paint. Yes, I very much like scale 75 paints. They suit my painting style well, I think. It's not to be forgotten about all the different brands of paint and all the things. It's usually there's something different in it for different folks. There's not necessarily a great. There can be technically good or technically bad paint, but usually there's so many different style of painters that there's always a paint to suit someone, and some people won't like that paint, but there's not really any right or wrong. But scale 75 is something I fancy. Mikey R had 5 full army projects bought and paid for, but built only a handful of models from each. Yeah, I mean I think that's another thing. I very much have an urge to finish my projects. I'm not kind of the type of person. And I'm not saying there's anything good or bad related with this. It's just personality. I can't really drop a project. I need to finish it, I think. Yeah. Ed says, as a fellow YouTuber, I can highly recommend painting up a project just for yourself and not filming it. It's a great, not to have the stress of getting things right. Oh, definitely. I do that. Very little, but I do it. I have 2 or 3 minis at home that are not for video purposes. But yeah, it's the time thing as well sometimes, because I do other things, and so it's nice to paint and be able to put it in a video. Let's put it like that. But yeah. Emily, hello Emily. How are you? Emily Khan says, tons of emojis. Yeah, I'm in. That's the party we're having at 52k subs. The emoji party. Evgeny, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Greetings from Serbia. I love all the content as a newbie painter. It's super helpful, and watching usually makes me pick up an unpainted mini and slap paint on. Keep up the good work. Well, you keep up the good work. Thank you. I'm glad to hear the videos work. That's exactly why I want to be making videos, is because it inspires in some way or form. It's great to hear. Thank you. Tim asks me, are there any other creative hobbies you're active in? Well, yes, but they're all entwined. Like you could, where you can't really say that the photography and the filming is a hobby because that's work. But I also play music. If there ever is music in a 52 minutes video, I've made it as well. So I like to drink coffee and tea. It's a bit of a hobby. I build a lot of Lego with my son. Steven says, I'm here at the channel because I like the content and your presentation style. You do the minis you want, I'll still be here. Yeah, thanks, Steven. I think this is more my issues with stuff. Okay, I'm going to jump all the way down to the bottom here, and I'm sorry about missing people. But I feel the need to be done in a few minutes. I just need to see what happens to the pizza here, because this is pizza is interesting. Pineapple on pizza is a yes. I'm glad I don't have to give the money back, which is good. Hunter Mitchell asks me if I've tried Rangers of Shadow Deep or 5 Leagues from the Borderlands. No, I haven't. But I read up on all these games, and it's the same thing there. I'm like, okay, step back from the rule book, because there's just seems so much good stuff out there. All right. There's lots of interesting things here that I want to read and answer to, but I really have to go, which is a shame. It's been great to chat with you all. I'm looking forward to kit bashing some stuff, even I should be doing the Stargrave stuff. And then we'll see how we go. Hopefully there's a new video out on Thursday. It kind of depends, because of I had issues ruining, a day's work. Kind of. I don't mind it. It was interesting. There was smoke and there was fire and demons and witchcraft, sort of. But I had to build a new diorama, which I have. But that sort of prolonged things, and so hopefully it will be out Thursday. But it might be a bit delayed. We'll see. My son does not enjoy hanging out in the dank bunker painting minis right now, because there's sun shining outside and stuff. So we'll see how we go. But thank you all for dropping in for this chat. It's wonderful. Hopefully I'll see you again in 2 weeks, which there should be another one by then. And thank you for all your support. Bye. I need to press a button. Which one? You want black or still? Let's do still. Bye.